Thank you to our panelists for their expertise. And next up, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker and presentation. We have a keynote presentation titled 16 Deals, $69 a ton, a data-driven read on South American brine asset quality. And it's my pleasure to invite to the stage Clint van Marderwijk, director and co-founder of Zelanders. So please join me in warmly welcoming him to the stage. Thank you.
All right, what are the two questions we get asked the most? From the seller's perspective, those that own the lithium assets, it's what is this asset really worth? There's a headline number for you. What we're going to do today is work through a framework for how to work out what an asset's worth if you own one. And then the other question on the buy side is how do you tell what you've got is actually going to be low on the cost curve? Two critically important questions, clearly. And we'll go through some hard data today and try and share with you how you can weigh that up for yourself. So, why should you believe anything I say here? And what do I actually know about the market? My name's Clint. I am the co-founder of Zelanders. We are a services company that specifically serves the brine market. We have been doing so for a decade. Everything from helping someone find what to drill, managing the drilling, logging it, understanding the subsurface, modelling it, taking the client through NI 43-101 and all the way to production. So that's our business. We specialise in that, and it's all we do. I think it's probably worth mentioning what we don't do. So Zelanders is an independent services company, which means we don't own land and we don't have proprietary components in the flow sheet. We're not a DLE company. We have boots on the ground though, so we're practically doing the work in the markets that lithium comes from. Obviously Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, the US and Canada are serving the bulk of the market. Right, so this is what we're going to cover, 15 minutes for 5 points. How do you calculate what your asset in the ground is actually worth? How big does the asset need to be a standalone producer and actually be valuable? What is a quality asset? What can go wrong? And there's plenty of things. And then where do you put your money? I think at the outset worth establishing that it's a bit perspective. So value is different to different buyers. So a DLE company cares about chemistry first, whereas a funded explorer, they don't actually want holes in the ground. They want to find something new. So kind of obvious, we're looking at the triangle here on the map, but it's different value for different buyers. A strategic buyer, they're going to care about the existing team, cash flow, where is it on the cost curve. So different people buy for different reasons. So there's your disclaimer. So what is an asset worth? Let's start with hard data. What do people actually pay? So there's your headline number, and we'll work through where this comes from for you, and then we'll detail the exceptions to the rules. In this case, we're going to have a case study, Argentina, majority Argentina. But you could equally apply this method in other key lithium markets. So here are the actual transactions. I won't go through them all. You can pick up this presentation later, but clearly you've got the amounts paid, who paid it, when, and then the amount per tonne in the ground, which is how we're measuring this inside this exercise. All the action happens inside the interquartile range. Classic economics here, buyers want to buy low and sellers want to sell high. If you look at those transactions that happened, early stage distressed assets clearly will be pushed to the cheaper end, good timing or a good asset, or both, and you might be at the top end. But what this framework allows you to do is figure out, okay, I've got 5 million tonnes, where should I roughly sit? What is a defensible number when I'm asking someone to invest in my asset? And there's enough hard data to put that on the page for you. What we're going to do is actually work through a framework for what a quality asset is. Clearly size is critical, and it's probably not talked about enough. It's so obvious, but we'll dig into it. So there's a rule of thumb that we would say is the number. You want to be bigger than 2.5 million tonnes to be a standalone producer. And this is backed up by anecdotal evidence in the markets themselves, as anyone who's down there knows. And I guess this is the key takeaway here. So although we're giving you a framework for what a tonne's worth in the ground, and clearly it's a range, I'm not giving you an accurate number, it's a framework. When you get small, it's not a linear decrease. You're talking about a cliff of value down. So if you've only got 500,000 tonnes, the idea that you can expect the median price for your asset in the ground is clearly not the case. So the framework to borrow is actually minimum economic field size, which is a oil and gas methodology. It's actually really quite appropriate for lithium brine. And again, if you think your standalone producer line is 2.5 million tonnes in the ground, you can kind of see what a discount should be for smaller assets, which is obviously important for many of these very large salt lakes. Okay, what is asset quality? We've talked about size already, which is one of the key attributes, but we actually think there's 10 more. This is what they are. This, from our perspective, comes from doing the actual work on the ground. The obvious ones that everyone knows about and talks about, lithium grade, impurities, but there's critical things that aren't assessed when an incoming buyer buys these assets, especially water, power. But here they are on the screen. Social license. So this is how we would measure quality, and each of these can be scored per asset. Then if you're looking to actually acquire an asset, you want to rank these things and figure out what's most valuable to you as a buyer. So someone who's really strong on the midstream is going to have a different ability set to someone who really cares about ESG and can't damage their brand. So your weightings as a buyer will be different depending on who you are. Likewise, again, if you're an explorer, you want to inverse exploration maturity. You want to look for things that haven't been drilled, which there are plenty of. Okay, so even with good geology, it can still go wrong. It's just harder. So we'll talk a bit about that. Anyone who's really experienced in the market, and there's a few on the stage already, will know these things, but we do battle this with incoming buyers a lot, and it's just worth re-emphasising the importance of understanding the engineering process of bringing an asset to production. And not enough attention is given to the PEA, is the takeaway. You need your sharpest engineers in there early. Do not commit to a flow sheet too early. That's a common error. And iterate. So yeah, that's where the value is really generated. And it's not perhaps as attention-grabbing as the construction phase or even the DFS, but these early stages of engineering are critically important to get right. Right. Investing in the triangle, we'll touch on this and then we'll close. We've been in the market on the ground doing work coming up a decade. We specialise only in lithium brine. So we obviously have opinions on each market and want them to be successful. And we'll just share the crux of it here for you. Argentina is a positive environment to invest at the moment, the best we've seen since we've been in the market. Chile arguably has squandered its chance to lead. And hopefully they can resurrect that in the next several years. Bolivia, for the brave, is what we've put on screen here for you. But obviously we're active in all three markets heavily. Okay, so that's the take home for you. What is a brine asset worth? We've given you a framework. How big do they need to be? What is quality? So you know what you're buying. What are the big mistakes that can happen? And then a take for you on Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. So as mentioned, Zelandes is an independent services provider to Lithium Brine specifically. Each country has its own subsidiary. The shareholder set of Zelandes is made up of the team itself and Mitsubishi as a strategic shareholder. So of course, if you're interested as an owner of an asset to manage your asset through to production, please come and see us. That's what we do, and we'd be very happy to help you. Thank you.